What's up, guys? This is Quaid again with another gym challenge here. This time I'm up against Yo Amo Pokemon. So, real briefly, if you look at his team, there's a ton of offense on it. The only real defensive Pokemon, if you can call it that, at least the Pokemon that would even focus anything in defense, would be Sableye. A lot of respect for the prankster Sableye. It's a Pokemon that I really like to use. I think it's a lot of fun. It frustrates a lot of people endlessly, and it does, despite its low stats, it does a really good job of walling a lot of Pokemon that you wouldn't expect it to wall. But I wasn't sure what he was going to come at me with. I actually was kind of expecting a Jolteon lead, because Jolteon gained Volt Switch in the new generation, so I was hoping that he would come at me with Jolteon. And basically, I decided to go with Tentacruel. I was baiting out the Jolteon. I wanted his Jolteon to come at me first, and then I would bait out the Volt Switch and get a free Nidoking. And I also was hoping that his Jolteon was choiced, which would really ruin it. But it didn't work out that way. It actually worked out really well because he sent out his Infernape, who really has no business against Tentacruel, so it's going to allow me a free setup of Toxic Spikes on turn 1, which is awesome. So that's going to come into play. All of his Pokemon are grounded. He does have a Steel type in Genesect. But, so Sableye comes in. The spikes are already up. Tentacruel didn't care. I was coming right at him anyway. I figured a taunt was on the way, so I go for the Scald. I mean, if you look at the damage there on Sableye, it's only about a quarter of his health. So he's going to be able to use his priority recovers on that no problem. So I did expect the Will-O-Wisp there. Unfortunately, it missed for him. So I go for the Scald. Does another decent chunk of damage, weakening Sableye. So I wasn't sure what he was going to do. So I decided to play it safe and switch to my Yanmega. Yanmega is largely the most sacrificable of my Pokemon, of the 6 in any given situation. Most things considered equal, Yanmega is the one who I don't mind losing. So he actually also switches, goes to Jolteon. Yanmega has no business being in against Jolteon, so I got no problem. I'm like, nope, you can, I figured if I just went for the Nidoking switch, if he had some kind of ice attack, I figured he was going for maybe a Volt Switch, but he goes for the Thunderbolt. Nidoking doesn't mind it at all. Jolteon's gonna rack up poison damage. I was hoping he was choiced. He actually is not choiced, so he's gonna hit Nidoking with a Hidden Power. I'm assuming it's Hidden Power Ice. I have no way of really knowing. All I know is that it hit Nidoking super effectively. Nidoking actually managed to survive, which actually surprised me a lot. But he survives it, hits it, Jolteon with the Earth Power. There's no way Jolteon's going to survive this. Nidoking just hits too hard, so Jolteon falls. Nidoking has been really lifting his weight lately, so he goes for the Victini. I was contemplating a switch to Tentacruel, fearing a Fire attack, but I didn't want to risk losing it to a Psychic attack. Nidoking, because his team is so fast and offensive, Nidoking, his utility is largely decreased because he's so slow, and the only way he would be able to do any real damage is if he had a Quiver Dance or 2 passed to it. So I don't mind losing Nidoking like this. I was expecting another Psychic on Tentacruel, but he doesn't. He actually switches to his Genesect. I sent out Tentacruel basically to tank the Psychic attack and then fire back with the super effective Scald, but it didn't come to that, so I go for the Scald on Genesect. Genesect is actually neutral to it, which is great. Tentacruel gets the crit, and to add insult to injury, he gets the burn. So really, luck was on my side for this one, for that move at least. So I was expecting a Thunderbolt. I didn't want to risk anything else. I knew Tentacruel would probably be able to tank it and survive, but he actually goes for a Bug Buzz, which really worked out. Tentacruel is in quite good shape and manages to take down Genesect all by himself. So that's a really good series of events that happened. So I had fortunate crit and burn, but sometimes these things happen. So he goes for the Garchomp. Naturally, I'm expecting a Choice Scarf Earthquake, so I'm not going to mess around. I know my Tentacruel is going to do a pretty good job of walling a lot of what he has. So I go for the Yanmega, expecting the Earthquake, but he makes a great prediction, goes for the Rock Slide, which there's no way. Yanmega's double weak to it. He probably would have fallen to, even if it was single weak to it, because Garchomp's got some crazy power, so Yanmega's got no shot. Makes it, like I said, great call on that one. So he's going to take a little bit of poison damage. And I see he has a life orb as well. So I go for my Medicham, not fearing anything Garchomp has to offer, but I know he's got a Sableye in the back, so I don't want to come right at him with a high jump kick. And Sableye also is immune to Medicham's Psychic Attack as well, so I'll draw out Sableye, he'll get the poison from the Toxic Spikes, I come at him with an Ice Punch. It actually did a lot less damage than I expected, but Medicham is faster with the Choice Scarf, but I was really fearing a Will-O-Wisp, and I did not want my Medicham. I was not going to risk it. I figured if he's going to recover on this turn, that's fine, and I can come at him later. But I did not want to risk losing Medicham to a Will-O-Wisp. So I switch out to Tentacruel, that's the one who can take it. Sure enough, there's the Will-O-Wisp, so Tentacruel's going to get burned. He doesn't mind it because he's a special attacker anyway. It's just unfortunate additional damage that he'll be taking, but as a result, his Sableye goes down, which is really going to open up the door for Medicham. Now his high jump kick I can pretty much use it indiscriminately now that he has no ghosts left on his side. So he does have Victini who resists it, but Medicham pretty much doesn't fear anything he's got left. So here comes the Garchomp again. Again, I'm fearing an Earthquake, so I go to the other Pokemon I have left that can take it pretty good, which is Scizor. There's another Earthquake. Or I guess that would be the first one, since he went for the Rock Slide the first time. So Scizor, it's somewhat bulky. He's neutral to it as well. So again, he has the Life Orb, so he's going to take 10% there. He's going to take poison damage. Scizor is I'm just going to come right at him with a Bullet Punch. I don't like, anything that Garchomp has to offer, so I'm going to do my best. He manages to survive it, which actually surprised me. It wouldn't have mattered. It was just unfortunate that I lost Scizor like this. Scizor would have been able to, stick around and maybe cause some more damage, but Garchomp had that sliver of health and was able to fire back, so I did lose Scizor on it. Now, of the 3 Pokemon I have left, my Tentacruel, I think, counters Victini my Venomoth would counter Victini pretty good, and my Tentacruel would counter his Infernape perfectly. So I go for the Medicham, which is basically neither of the two because it would allow me to revenge knockout with whatever I had left. So Medicham, even though Victini resists the high jump kick, you saw how much damage it did. Medicham does not mess around, so he goes for the Searing Shot. Medicham manages to survive it, and now I'm in fantastic position. Victini will fall to a high jump kick, we already know that. Infernape probably will as well, just because of the incredible strength that it has. So he goes for an interesting switch here for Infernape. I'm not sure the reasoning behind it, but Medicham, he doesn't mind it at all. He'll just kick anybody. So Infernape actually does survive with the Focus Sash, but because of the first turn Toxic Spikes, he's going to fall to that damage. So Medicham is pretty much doing his work. You saw how frustrated I was when he missed against Dragon Claw's Porygon 2, but Medicham has started, this is why I was using him. As you can see, 3 consecutive high jump kicks, 2 knockouts, even Victini, who resists it will succumb to 2 high jump kicks just because of the incredible strength that it has. So, a good game to Yoamo Pokemon. His team is very offensive. My team is relatively offensive as well, just because of the nature of the types. I didn't have a whole lot of defensive options, and the ones that I did are very commonly countered, like Forretress and Muck and stuff like that. So it's sort of like a battle of offense, really, which is always fun. You never know what, a couple of wrong predictions here and there, and it could easily go either way. So I'm satisfied, like I mentioned in the podcast. I don't know if I've published that podcast yet, actually. But I was, mentioning, the consideration for dropping Medicham just because of the high jump kick miss, but I've become well over that. In the past couple of battles, you've seen high jump kick has just been so valuable. And even in the match with Dragonclaw, the high jump kick managed to one-shot Lucario before he could do any real damage. So it's been so nice. Sometimes it's the 10% shot to miss. It's just something that I'll have to endure probably, just because Medicham offers a lot of utility to my team. Just having that Scarf power is awesome to rely on. It makes revenge killing really simple. And then it gets to a point where you sort of reach critical mass in the battle, and Medicham just gets to the point where you just leave him out there and just high jump kick everything, and then you just go from there. So As always, I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.